French president is due to deliver a prime-time address to the nation tonight. Emmanuel Macron's speech comes at a moment of great uncertainty for France and the European Union. The president is expected to focus on the conflict in Ukraine as well as the threat of a transatlantic trade war. Ordinary French citizens, meanwhile, are expressing their concern ahead of that address.
It does make you nervous. There isn't a lot we can do. Whatever happens, we'll have to live with it.
It frightens everyone, of course. We are from a generation that hasn't seen war, and we don't wish to. But if diplomacy could put things to rights and people could get their feet back on the ground, that would be better.
He shouldn't try to reassure us, but to lay things out clearly. What are the difficulties and what are the risks?
For more on this story, we can bring in our international affairs editor, Angela Diffley. Angela, you heard there from French citizens. Some people are clearly concerned ahead of this statement. What will Emmanuel Macron try to do tonight?
He will have to reassure the nation. There is a clear level of anxiety in the country, and I'm sure that's the case in many other countries in Europe. But he will also have to prepare public opinion for what is ahead. And there are two aspects to this defence matter. One is support for Ukraine. The other is the wider European defence strategy and spending more on that. He basically needs to tell the population that there will be hardship ahead. And that will be in terms of finding the money to massively upgrade France's and Europe's defence capabilities. Where will that come from? That is one issue. There is also a certain amount of concern within France simply on the issue of boots on the ground. Emmanuel Macron, on the issue of Ukraine, has suggested that he would be ready to send French troops to try to monitor any ceasefire upcoming and later perhaps a wider peace accord. He's calling that a reassurance force. It wouldn't be on the front line. There's worry about that. The French have, of course, a very highly professional army, which has had to withdraw in many cases from African countries.
Indeed.
So in theory, there should be no need for what we're seeing in Germany, the idea of reintroducing national service. That is not on the cards in France. But he needs basically to prepare public opinion for the fact that they're going to have to pay for this and that the French army are likely to be deployed at some point in Ukraine. He will also address the matter of the possibility of a transatlantic trade war. Yeah. I think on this, he is likely to point out that Europe is a very large market for the United States, that having been stung the first time around with Donald Trump, Europe is prepared to hit back and to hit back hard. And he will be helped by the fact that the American money markets are showing jitters around Donald Trump's tariff policy. Businesses do not like all this uncertainty. They're worried at this wobbling of the rule of law, things changing every day. And that will help Emmanuel Macron in arguing that Trump might not be quite so wild on trade tariffs as was feared a short time ago. Of course, anything is possible.
Anything is possible. You touched on this earlier that, the president will may potentially announce a boost in defense spending. And if he does, this money has to come from somewhere, because us here in France and Europe, we pride ourselves on certain things like unemployment benefits, healthcare, free education, what have you. This is obviously going to be a daunting task for the French president if he has to commit more money to defense spending.
Yeah, there is more or less a cross-party agreement in France, apart from the far left, that defense spending needs to be boosted in the face of the new reality. Where does that money come from? That is where, in an already very fractious National Assembly, there will be fierce arguments. And you are right, it looks most likely that it is likely to come from public spending. France has a very generous welfare state and has done for many years. It is hard to see how France can continue to fund that to the level it is still funded and also find money for defence spending. There is also the possibility of raising taxes, but that also hits the economy. There is an idea called fiscal patriotism going around at the moment, that the rich should be asked to pay more in order order to boost the country's spending. The other option, of course, is borrowing. That is getting harder and harder. All of this, of course, in a very fractious National Assembly. Macron will not want more disasters in the National Assembly, more topplings of prime ministers. The British option, which was, because Britain, of course, Keir Starmer made a similar speech to his own parliament recently, they decided to take money from international aid, but France has already cut that by 30% and is still far off what is the correct target in European Union terms for its deficit. The other option being floated is Russian assets. Macron is very reluctant to seize what are at the moment frozen Russian assets. He's worried that that would dissuade investors from France, and no one seems to have persuaded him that it is a good idea yet.
We'll see how things pan out, and we'll know at 8 p.m. We will be broadcasting, actually, the French president's address live in